Amazon has just released their newest film, Roadhouse, directly to Amazon Prime. Now disclaimer, I haven't seen the original Roadhouse starring Patrick Swayze, but I don't think that's necessary to review this updated version. Roadhouse stars Jake Gyllenhaal as Elwood Dalton, a former UFC fighter turned drifter who gets hired to be a bouncer of a roadhouse in the Florida Keys. Overall, if I had to summarize this movie in one sentence, it would be fun but flawed. The fun part comes in the form of the action and the story. The flawed comes in the form of some of the characters and how certain aspects of the story actually play out. But let's talk about those characters first. The main character, Dalton, is a good lead, and he's played good enough by Jake Gyllenhaal. I will say, however, that it's weird that sometimes he's this wisecracking tough guy, but then the very next scene, he'll be a closed off and sort of damaged man. I wish they would have found a better way to mix those two aspects to create one cohesive character rather than two characters who feel separate from each other. But all the other characters are fine, really. We of course have Conor McGregor's acting debut in this as the villain Knox, and I think both Knox and McGregor are good enough. McGregor seems to know exactly what type of movie he is in, and he's got some very funny moments doing it. I will say, one character that I didn't like was the owner of the Roadhouse, Frankie. She just doesn't seem like a real person. I'm not sure if it's the performance or what, but the way she talks and interacts just feels fake. And there's a few scenes where it's supposed to show how tough and cool she is, but it just comes off as forced.
Sure. Hey, Frankie.
Yeah.
Is there a hospital nearby?
Literally, who gives a
Shut the up and fight.
And as for the action of this movie, I think the fight scenes are pretty good. I'm not a huge fan of how fluid the camera is during these fights, but that was a creative choice that I'm sure others will love, just wasn't my thing. But as for the bigger action scenes, it's kind of a mixed bag. The fight at the end with the boats was good, but the later scene where the boat crashes into the roadhouse, and the earlier scene where Dalton is hit by a truck, just looked bad. Bad CGI and bad framing makes for a bad action scene. But as I said, overall this is a fun film. There was a controversy where the director Doug Liman and star Jake Gyllenhaal were really pushing to get this a theatrical release, and they even went as far as having a private screening for Jeff Bezos. But in the end, they only got a streaming release. And I think this movie would have played better in theaters. And even if you don't give it a wide release, a limited release in a few hundred theaters can do wonders for a movie like this. But if you're looking for a fun movie night, throw on Roadhouse. It's worth it.